And welcome to the Formation Lap. Coming up, we're going to take a closer look at the state of play in the championship. Plus, we'll preview round 5 with Brodie Kostecki. It is a big hello and welcome to Neil Crompton, who joins me.
Hey, Jess.
Hello, Crompo. Good to see you. Or can you believe we've had 2 of the 3 closest race finishes ever in the history of the championship this year? And of course, that one between Feeney and Payne on Sunday in Tasmania has to be right up there for you. Where did that rate?
If it's not at the very top, it is seriously close. I loved 2014 in the battle between Mostert and Whincup at Bathurst, and I got completely out of control. It was exactly the same in Tasmania. I thought it was one of the all-time races, and this was one of the battles that we'll celebrate for many, many years to come. Great teams, great drivers, maximum action, different strategies, and resolving in the end by 5/100ths of a second. And all the intrigue in the laps after they back-to-back at Grove and did lap 29 and then back-to-back lap 30, put the 2 stops together that they needed to do. And for that outcome and for Triple Eight, for the Red Bull Ampol racing team to go a completely different way, I love that stuff. So, you know, it was awesome. I rank it right up there with the very, very best. We
feel like a bit of a broken record this year, don't we, in that the racing just seems to get better and better, and our drivers are finding different ways to win week in, week out. We've now had 12 different drivers on the podium over the course of the season. Tell me why. What are the ingredients that are giving us such diverse racing?
Well, it's a wonderful stat when you stop and consider that we've had, 12 completed races out of 13. We've got 34 for the total championship season. To answer the question, the teams continue to refine their understanding of the Gen 3 cars. The Gen 3 cars themselves continue to improve. So it's a horrible word to mention in this business, but the parity continues to tighten up between them. There's been a lot learned about the engines and about the aero performance of the cars. We've got very, very, very high quality teams in this country, and we've got some outstanding talent when it comes to driving. You've only got to look at the exports. You've only got to look at people like, for example, Shane Van Gisbergen and like Scotty McLaughlin that have gone and done their thing overseas to understand the calibration of the quality of the athletes that we've got. So when you fuse those things, you get the result. I mean, another thing is we've got 7 of our 11 teams have now grabbed a trophy at some stage this year. 6 drivers have won a race. 6 different drivers have won a race. 6 different drivers have had a Boost Mobile pole. There's a lot going on out there, and there's a lot to celebrate.
Well, the Red Bull Ampol racing team bounced back in impeccable fashion in Tasmania. Poles, podiums, race wins, has their drivers leading the championship at the halfway point of the Sprint Cup.
Nice job, Feeney. Perfectly done. As we get set to go racing in Tasmania. How is that for a slingshot? And have a look up the inside for Brown now. God. Career victory number 14 for Feeney. Can Feeney bounce back and win our second race here in Tasmania today? So this is on for young and old. This is on. This is on, and he grabs him, and he makes it 2 from 2 in Tassie. Will Brown has got his quali mojo well and truly back. That is a spectacular drive, Payne. You are the man.
And it's great to welcome to the Formation Lap the Red Bull Ampol racing team manager, Mark Dutton, for a bit of a debrief. Hey, Dutto, thanks for joining us on the show. Plenty of extra hand luggage heading home from Tasmania for you guys. On a whole, what was the most satisfying part of the performance for the team across the weekend in Tasmania?
Yeah, I think rolling out strong and then the car being responsive to the engineers, that always makes it more enjoyable. Even though we didn't have a great round in Taupo, the mechanics and the engineers still worked fantastic, but the frustration when the car isn't playing nice with you in Taupo, to totally turn that around to the engineers almost not being able to put a foot wrong with the drivers, the mechanics still doing a great job, but just the engineers and the drivers firing on all cylinders was pretty special.
Hey, Dutto, one of the things that you have to arm wrestle is we came to the event with Will Brown plus 34 in the championship. We leave the event with Feeney plus 33 in the championship. you, my friend, are beginning to have a problem that you've had before, where you've got two guys that are well and truly in the hunt here for a championship. You've got to get them to play nicely and not throw toys at each other as this thing continues to unpack.
Yeah, the good thing is, they're both good blokes, and the whole team get along so well, even though they are battling, and the honesty. The honesty is funny because we're brutally honest, and that's the way you should be. But it's still, sometimes you do have a little chuckle to yourself when we're in a debrief and they're talking about strategies against each other. Because they are racing each other. That's the reality of it. So, it's our job collectively to manage that, and we all do that as well as we can. And if we don't get it right, which we don't always, we always have the awkward conversation. And I like to call it that. I like to say, okay, we're going to have the awkward conversation. What did we do there? And why didn't we play as nice as we could have?
We loved the close nature of the race on Sunday between Brock and Maddie. We're all on the edge of our seats as fans. I know it was probably a pretty tense moment for you guys. Just tell us how this is featured in the debrief, because I guess Brock's been pipped right on the line a couple of times this year. How do you debrief the end to a race like that?
Yeah, so funnily enough, we haven't actually done the driver's debrief. Typically what we'll do on the Tuesday, Wednesday back, we do the team debrief straight away, get on to your mechanicals, your logistics, what was the food like, things like that. And then we wait a little bit longer so that you're not just regurgitating what happened on the weekend. You actually give your engineers and drivers time to dissect, and so you really do look back in hindsight. So that's coming up tomorrow. But what you do look at with a finish like that is okay, the stop lap for Brock, his final stop lap, was that correct? Because that's such a big balance, because you're already going quicker than the cars you're going to chase. But when you change your tyres, you're going to go quicker again. Yet you're going to fall into some traffic and have to pass people. So when it comes down to such a fine finish like that, it's understanding, were we a lap too early? Were we a lap too late? Or was that just the best we could have done? So we're not speaking for myself, I'm not disappointed for the result, because as a team, we covered both bases with the strategy. And then Brock, laying down those quali laps after quali laps to get that close to the end was pretty spectacular.
Certainly was. It's interesting that you say that, because on the Sunday night in Tasmania, Jamie Whincup, the boss, had a bit of frustration around that. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I'm really torn at the moment. Like we of course it was a great weekend. It was a great day for the sport. It was a fantastic race, but I'm just filthy we didn't win. We come down here with two extremely quick cars. I thought Brock drove unbelievably well all weekend. Yeah, there's been 3 or 4 of those where the Penrite boys have beaten us on strategy, which pisses me off. It smells a bit like Grant McPherson to me. There's a bit of Grant McPherson smell about that sort of stuff. Don't know if that's true or not, but it sort of looks that way.
Team effort, mate.
Team effort, yeah. So no, that's gutting that we didn't get the win. But all in all, we'll take all the good stuff out of the weekend and see if we can do a better job next time.
The competitive beast is still alive and well in the team, boss. How do you respond to, I guess, the comments that Jamie made there? And how does that level of intensity between, your team and Penrite Racing, you've been locked in a bit of a battle on track so far this year. How does that then progress as we get deeper into the season?
Yeah, it's perfect, and I mean that's the passion you want, from everyone, let alone Jamie. And he has to push us to not just accept that it was a good race and we couldn't have done better, which we don't accept that, but it's still his job to push and make sure that we are turning over every stone. So, as I touched on earlier, for me, when you look at it, we split the strategy. That was a really good call, I thought, because the engineers were quite decisive with the calls. So that's the first thing to get right, is make a call. Right or wrong, make a call. It's easy to sit on the fence until the opportunity's gone. And then whilst this ended up looking like the double tap with the sequential laps was the gun strategy, which we did on Will's car, there was 20, 30 lap, whatever it was, window where if there was a safety car, she wasn't the gun strategy, and Brock would have won, cruising home with his arm sitting on the window like Lowndesy used to do. So it's one of those things that the way it fell, the double tap was for sure the better strategy. But the fact that we came second with Brock by the narrowest of margins and still had the safety margin of if the safety car had have popped out, we were covered. So for me, standing in the middle between the two race engineers, when we have the car that was ahead on the track, so therefore the lead car at the time in Brock, covered with or without a safety car falling to be first or second, that's awesome. And then also going, look, it's a legit good strategy to do the double tap. So doing that on Will's car with Andrew, and then making back some positions. It's so hard to make up those positions. You guys spoke about it a little bit earlier just then, where there's been so many different winners and so many different people on the podium. And we saw that on Saturday. We didn't have the best qualifying in one of the races with Will, and we didn't move up that far because it's not that easy. There's so many good drivers, so many good cars, and every team is on form that the strategy to double tap on Will and get him back on the podium was brilliant and worked well.
And there's so much to celebrate out of all of that. I think, to your point, it's never been closer. It certainly feels like that. And I'll bring the popcorn next round in Perth, because I think this is just going to keep escalating as we get on. Dutto, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us here on the Formation Lap. We'll see you in WA.
See you there. Thanks for having me.
And confirmation of how it stands in the championship as we head into round 5. 2 wins and a podium puts Brock Feeney in the lead by 33 points over his teammate Will Brown. Matt Payne, with that win on Sunday, then jumped back up to 3rd, which is great for him. Cameron Waters jumping down into 4th position. This is what the team's championship looks like. Rebel Ampol Racing Team doing a brilliant job to be leading. The Monster Castrol Racing Team is still there in 2nd. WAU went a little bit missing with Chaz Mostert, certainly in Tasmania. Ryan Wood did a great job in qualifying and was well amongst the battles across the weekend. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they respond when we get to WA.
It'll be on there. It's another 2.4 kilometre racetrack and it's only 7 turns. One of the interesting things for me was that Brock came away with that 33-point margin, 15 of those points with 3 fastest laps, which was very impressive, and a new lap record for him in the last race. So big weekend of profit for him.
Certainly was. Still to come here on the Formation Lap, Brody Kostecki joins us next to look ahead to the next round in Perth. And as we head to a very quick break, let's wind back the clock with Ryan Wood last year, reminiscing about a fantastic weekend in Perth.
Yeah, I think for us as a whole team, Perth's always been probably a really hard event for Walkinshaw and Andretti United in the past. So I think it was more just relief than anything. We turned up and we had really fast cars, and then to lock out the front row together, me and Chaz, I think for the first time in so many years, was really special.
What has Mostert got? 54.56. Ryan Wood, so he has done an unbelievable job. And a Walkinshaw Andretti United front row.
Yeah! Sound like a little girl. When you're a rookie, you want to show what you can do, and it's obviously really hard at the highest level of Australasian motorsport. So to get a little bit of success and qualifying was a really nice feeling.
Front row of the grid, Mostert and Wood.
When you start on the front row, you always want to either win the race or finish in the position you started, or get a trophy, and we were so close. And for me, it just would have been a really cool confidence booster, and seeing Chaz win the race was great. And I was more just frustrated because I knew we had the package to really get a podium that weekend, but it's part of it, and got plenty of opportunities to hopefully do that this year.
And how about this one? Waters gets it done, but he has to run wide and back up over the curb. That could be discussed later.
Oh, so sorry, guys. No, that's unlucky, buddy. That's unlucky. Thank you, mate.
Heading back to Perth, it's obviously a really cool event. It's very small and technical track. The first time I went there, I really gelled with the track a lot, and then obviously going back there in main game, I did the same. So take the next step and hopefully get a trophy or a win there would be great. Expectations are as normal to go and do as well as we can, and hopefully get some silverware.
Muhammad Ali once said, "Champions are made from something they have deep inside them. A dream, a vision, a desire." From the very first moment Brody Kostecki sat in a go-kart in Perth in the early 2000s, that vision started to take shape. The desire stemmed from a family love affair with racing. Kostecki's grandfather, Gene, used to rip around in sand buggies in the dunes of Western Australia. His cousins, Jake and Kurt, fell victim too. The dream was always close door-to-door racing and winning.
Get in there, Brodie Kostecki with the drive of a lifetime.
Kostecki was born to win.
I just can't believe I'm standing here.
From the very start, nothing was getting in Brodie's way to chase that dream. He followed it all the way to America as a kid. If you want to know what shaped his mentality as an uncompromising aggressor, something we celebrate every weekend in supercars, manhandling a 600 horsepower bucking Bronco at age 13 will do it.
Melted this tire down at Meridian Speedway trying to get to the front. This kid right here, spectacular driving.
While there's unfinished business in the States, Kostecki's legacy here on home soil is only just getting started.
Brodie Kostecki, that is a golden lap.
It's hard to beat a person who never gives up. And the man they call Bush just doesn't know how to quit.
It's on. Push and shove and push and shove.
In 2023, his endless pursuit of trying to make a name for himself finally paid off. His dream, his vision, his desire all became reality.
The biggest moment of his career, Brodie Kostecki has done the job.
Sport doesn't build character, it reveals it.
Brodie Kostecki is the king of the mountain.
A champion and a Bathurst winner, and now he wants more. He's pushing the limit, forcing his greatest rivals to be bolder and to fight harder. As the championship returns to Brodie's old stomping ground in the West, at home where it all began, the vision is clear, the desire never stronger, the dream not finished yet. Welcome to the Bosch Power Tools Perth Super 440, right here on Fox Sports. Welcome back to the Formation Lap. It's great to welcome that man, Brodie Kostecki, to the show. Hey, Bro, I know you more than anyone is looking forward to getting back home to WA for the next round. Talk to us about the debrief, though, after Tasmania. I know it was a weekend that didn't go your way. How are you feeling about it all now that it's done and trying to point forward to the next round in Perth?
Yeah, g'day Jess and hi Neil. But yeah, I'd say that's probably the polite way to put it. It probably didn't go my way, didn't go the team's way, didn't go Davo's way either. So it's just one of those unfortunate weekends. But to be honest, like the car was actually quite fast. We just didn't really execute as a team. So you know, we're pretty fortunate with the championship format this year that we're still in contention, obviously, but. Yeah, we just need to do a bit better and, not have weekends like those. And coming off of New Zealand where the car was so strong, and to be honest, it was very strong in all the races across the weekend. We just didn't really have the results to show for it.
Brodie, tell me about life at Dick Johnson Racing, the Shell V-Power Racing team. You're 4 events in now. It's a whole new deal. It's a very high-profile team. Some of the demands around that will be different from your background. What's it like? Are you adjusting? Have you found a home? Are you on top of the car? There's a bunch of questions in there for you.
Yeah, of course. It's definitely been a whirlwind of an experience for me, and I think I'm very fortunate to be driving for such a character like DJ, and he's left such a big legacy on this sport, and we have probably the biggest, most passionate following, from any team up and down pit lane. So I feel very grateful to be driving for the Shell V-Power Racing team, and we've been getting better each round, that we head out. Obviously last weekend didn't really show for it, but, the car's been getting back into a window that I'm, sort of pretty happy with. And to be honest, I'm really excited going back home to Perth, obviously. And, it's where my family's from. And hopefully I can, put on, a bit of a show for the home crowd, and would really love to get a trophy, at home. Would, feel really, really, really special to me.
You've cost me some dough, Brodie, because I said in a production meeting right at the very beginning of the year, by the time we got to round 4 or 5, you'd be flexing muscle and you'd be right there, which tells me that it's been a bit of a challenge to get this car set up. What is the challenge? Why has it become a difficult thing for you to get what has been a very quick car on occasion in qualifying to be the car that you want in the races?
Yeah, I think the car's been quite fast all year. To be honest, it's been very nice on its tyres, and it's probably somewhere where we've probably made a big impact from last year. Obviously, working with George, someone that I'm very familiar with. It's been very fast towards the end of stints, but hasn't quite fired off. At the start of races, how it probably should do. And it's kind of funny. Obviously we're obviously just watching the car being on pole at pole at Taupo in New Zealand, but obviously didn't fire off too well at the start of those races, and saw me getting attacked by Woody in the last race, and obviously Chaz leaving the pit lane. But yeah, it's been a little bit different for us, and obviously there's been a lot of turnover over at Shell V-Power Racing this year, so everyone's still getting familiarised with each other, and it's kind of hard. It seems like we're so far through the season already, but we've only done 4 rounds, so it's quite hard to speed up that process, but it is happening, and I'm quite happy with that progress, and I think like you said, 4 or 5 rounds, so you haven't lost your dough yet. So I'm excited to be going back home, and hopefully we can correct what happened on the weekend, and get the Shell V-Power Mustangs back up front.
That's good, mate. I need the dough.
It feels like the home round is coming for you, Brodie, right when you need it, and you're really motivated to go on there and put on a show for your home fans. And I'm sure you're going to have lots of family there on the weekend. Just tell us how you think the speed that you have been able to unlock in the car is going to translate at Wanneroo Raceway. And tyre deg is always such a big story there. From what you've learnt about the tyre compound so far this year, how do you think that's also going to play out on track?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Jess. I think we've seen so far this year, there's been so many different key players, teams be so far, up and down the pecking order, and it hasn't really been consistent, which is great for the sport and great for our fans as well, seeing so many different teams be fast on occasions. And, we saw that, the Red Bulls were really fast on the weekend, and, obviously Chaz and I were quite strong at New Zealand, and we both shared a back row at some point. So, yeah, it's honestly, it's really, really, difficult this year with the new tyre coming in, very limited testing, limited practice as well. But to be honest, I really love it. And, I think it's really putting on a show this year, and we just need to do a bit better of a job, and we'll be up the front, consistently.
That begs the question of how you deal with everything at Wanneroo, because we flip back to the way we had it in New Zealand, where it's the soft tyre that is either side of using the super soft in the middle. So we've got the 220k races on the Saturday, soft, then super soft, and then the 200ks on the Sunday. I'm interested in your comments and your take on what you think of the format. I mean, I heard a glimpse of it there in the background that you're positive about it. There seems to be general... there's been a general positive vibe from the driver group that they like the mix and match. What's your take?
To be honest, Neil, I really love the format. I believe if you're taking, if you're buying a ticket to come to the track, you should see us racing on track. So I find it, really great that we're, on track a lot on the Saturday, and a lot on the Sunday with that long race. I think it's perfect, mix and match format.
Life after Wanneroo Raceway, of course. We're going to have a street race in Perth, and I believe you have been asked to contribute to the design of the circuit. Just tell us a little bit about that and the impact that that's going to have on racing in Western Australia.
Yeah, I think it's exciting times for Western Australia and Perth, and it's great to see the government really get behind such a great event. And yeah, it was kind of surprised to I guess someone like myself and a few other drivers to put some input into the track, but was able to work alongside Scafie, who I haven't really seen in action before, outside of obviously meeting him at the track and whatnot. And he's a serious operator, and has done some really, really great things with some tracks in the past, like, Pukekohe, there was some changes there that I didn't even know that, that he was a part of down the back straight there into the bus stop. So, sort of just going through and learning that process and, trying to do the best job with the space that, that we have to work with. And I'm quite happy with, I guess, what we have, at the moment. And, nothing's locked away yet from what I understand. But, just what an exciting time to be, I guess, for me being from Perth and, seeing what's on the cards for the future.
Great to have the local boy with some input into what is going to be the new future of supercars in the West. Brodie, thank you so much for joining us on the Formation Lap. We look forward to catching up with you at home in Perth. All the very best. We hope there's some trophies for you there.
Yeah, let's do this again after I haven't had such a bad weekend, hey?
Sounds like a plan. We'll see you then. Thanks, Brodie.
Thanks, guys.
See you, mate.
And of course, we'll have you covered right here on Fox Sports for the Bosch Power Tools Perth Super 440. Our live coverage kicks off from the 6th of June right across the weekend. Well, that's all we have time for here on the Formation Lap. Thank you so much for your company. We'll see you racing in the West.